Today is June 27th and I'm flying to Russia again, and I have a very specific question in mind. War zone or vacation paradise? I know guys, it's a provocative question, a bold question, but essentially it's correct because Russia is at war. And today I'm flying to the country's biggest vacation resort, Sochi. That's why I want to highlight this contrast. I want to see what is it like in this biggest vacation resort now, in the year 2025. How have the prices changed? Are there still international tourists? What do the people say? On site? Will I find war propaganda? I ask myself all these questions, and I'm flying to Sochi for you. My journey starts today at Frankfurt Airport. But since so many people always ask me, how do you get to Russia? In 2025, I put together a little summary for you. Let's roll the film. There are several roads leading to Russia, but most closed after the war began. Nowadays, there are only 5 ways left to get to Russia by land, mainly through Estonia and Latvia. Here you can see the 5 possible border points marked, which mainly lead to St. Petersburg and Moscow. Last year, I chose the route through Estonia via Narva. Everything was actually completely fine, but sometimes you have to stand and wait at the border for up to 6 hours. Of course, an alternative to this is taking a plane. Here you can see all the countries that will still offer flights to Russia in 2025. For us Europeans, however, most of them are relatively uninteresting. In comparison, there are only very few airports left in Europe, 4 in Belarus, that still fly to Russia, which is also quite uninteresting for most Europeans. And apart from that, there's just Belgrade and Istanbul. Now you've had a brief overview of the options that are still available to get to Russia, and I chose the Istanbul option. The flight went well. I have to say, Turkish Airlines doesn't offer any legroom for tall people, but they had very friendly staff who noticed that and said, "We still have a row available." So I was able to lie down perfectly, so everything was fine. This is the update now, and I'll tell you how it's going to go, what it will be like at the border. Will I be pulled aside, interrogated? You hear about that from time to time. These horror stories, and I've heard them from close friends too, so it really does happen from time to time. Let's see what happens to me, but for now, I'm here in Istanbul. It's amazing what kind of airport this is. Architecturally, it's very well done, with natural elements. Everything looks very stylish, even the restrooms look relatively luxurious. So, it might sound exaggerated, but this transfer area of the airport is one of the nicest airport sections I've ever seen. There's one thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to say last year when I entered Russia. So, just a little disclaimer. I simply want to share my impressions with you, report neutrally, and visit countries that interest me and are also interesting from a historical perspective, where conflicts or crises may also be occurring now. Because I think that's the most interesting thing for all of us. That's why I was just in China, now I'm flying to Russia, but I also want to go to Ukraine in the fall. I've avoided that so far because I felt the danger there was even greater. Traveling to any countries isn't a political statement for me. Because many people assume that in the comments, yeah, you're a China propagandist if you show something in China, or you know the comments. Guys, I just want to temper the excitement a bit. Guys, we're 4 hours late, but so far everything is still going well. Guys, quick question for you. Do you think I look very Russian? Because when I told the stewardess that I'm German, she couldn't believe me. She said it's because of my accent, okay? But she said I look more Russian than 90% of all Russians. But you can rate her in the comments. Yeah?
Yeah, look how beautiful she is.
Arrived 4 hours late. I'll update after the border and let you know if I got through and what happened. I'll try to film a few impressions, but at the latest, after the border. Arrival on Russian soil, guys. I've arrived in tropical Sochi, and you can instantly feel the different humidity. Yeah, it was pretty uneventful. It took about 3 minutes. They checked my passport and visa. Looked at it, and then they let me through. They didn't even ask what I'm doing here. Normally, they always ask things like, "Are you here for tourism? Are you here for work?" No questions. Maybe it's just that Sochi is a small airport, and I was the only foreigner. Yeah, actually, that's when I would have thought they'd pull me aside. Well, there are horror stories, but maybe it just never happened to me. What's also pretty cool is that you can see the Olympic rings in the distance because Sochi used to host the Winter Olympics to boost tourism a bit in the winter. In summer, many guests came, but fewer visited in winter. That was of course a smart move. Did I just pick up some random Uber driver from the street? My tip, guys, always do it through an app, you never know. Maybe I'll get kidnapped now. I wouldn't do that in Brazil, but here in Russia, in southern Russia, and in Sochi, it's fine. Do you have a lot of tourists here? Yes, a lot already.
Mostly Russians from Russia came to Sochi, and people from Armenia come too. They used to travel abroad.
Now they come to Russia. Well, there are about 150 million people here. That's very interesting, to go to the Soviet Union.
Yes.
That the time was so different.
We lived peacefully, not knowing what was out there. What was happening in other countries, we didn't know about it.
There just wasn't any information.
You can go somewhere to earn, how should I say?
Commercially here, euros but no euros because I only came here at night. That means of course you have the... Okay, I finally arrived at the hotel after half an hour of discussion with this woman. She didn't want my money or my euros, so my taxi driver paid for me. Georg, the honorable man. Georgie from Georgia or from Abkhazia? Really good, nice guy who helped me out of a jam again by letting me pay him back now. In euros, he was able to accept the euros. Tomorrow we'll start with the question, war zone or vacation paradise? We'll address it then. Now I'll show you the hotel room you get for 36 euros. Honestly, pretty disappointing. Well, alright, actually it's a normal room, you know, 2 single beds and a small room. But you have to imagine, in other countries I've visited like China, 36 euros gets you a luxury suite. So that's what it costs, or rather, you get cheaper rooms. In many parts of Russia, it costs more like 10 or 15 euros. Or what's your opinion? I mean, you have to put everything in perspective. For German standards, it's cheap, but for Russian standards, I know that you pay differently in other cities. So guys, the second day has started. First impression, perfect climate, really pleasant. I was in Mannheim the last few days, and it was much hotter there, like 30 or 32 degrees. That's why I never thought I'd come to a vacation resort where the weather is cooler, but more pleasant. Well, now let's see what's going on here in Sochi. Guys, let's go. For my first stop of the day, I went straight to the Riviera, and you probably know the word Riviera too. There's the French Riviera. Is that even how you pronounce it? I don't know, but there's the French, the Spanish, the Italian Riviera, and here in Russia, in Sochi, there's also the Russian one. It's basically the luxury resort, the luxury part of the city. I have to say, my first impression is good, beautiful parks, nice weather. What more could you want? I'll keep looking and go straight to the beach.
On my way to the beach, I walked through Riviera Park first. And to be honest with you guys, my first impression was a bit shocking, because Sochi is known as the biggest resort in Russia.
But except for a few guests, the whole place was mostly deserted. Here you can see a few impressions from Riviera Park. And yes, that's exactly how I put it. Sure, you see a few tourists here and there, but surprisingly few. It seems like there's less happening at the city's top holiday resort. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of amusement parks. Walking here still feels cool since the plants and animals are totally different. Just seeing nature, with palm trees, this humidity, it doesn't feel like Russia, and that's pretty cool. I might be in Turkey right now. How about you?
I'm 87.
My surprise that there wasn't much going on in the park quickly disappeared at the beach, because here you could see quite a few people, especially many families with their children who were using the water parks on the beach, but also on the beach itself. You see, there are plenty of guests, and the whole place is quite well attended, so you've now gotten a few impressions of the beach here. Really nice atmosphere. Of course, it's a pebble beach, which isn't always ideal, but otherwise it's really nice. You can tell there's some tourist activity, but still less than before, I'm sure of that, as you can see. A whole section of the beach has already been closed off. There's an entire empty beach that was definitely open before. What I have to say is that it's very civilized here, a very pleasant atmosphere, but that doesn't surprise me because domestic tourism is naturally much more harmonious. People tend to behave better in their own country than as guests elsewhere. I just walked through the city and found something I have to show you. a Hofbräu house. It says Munich Beer Garden, German music, German place. And I think this just shows that no matter how difficult the relationships between countries are, culture can still be appreciated. I want to go to the Hofbräu house.
But more places are open here. And also these I don't know.
Gunshots!
How far away?
Are you from Germany?
To Munich, actually.
Munich. I'm actually from Munich. I love it.
I'll save you time since you're trying to involve me in the rest.
I'm not trying to get you anywhere, just into my bed.
The way I am. Munich. Me, I'm from Tarnon and you speak German.
I want to speak a little English.
Because you have such beautiful costumes from Germany.
Or maybe they're just more expensive.
Thank you. You have a very good Russian.
Thank you, a perfect one. Would you like to try beer here?
Of course, please have a seat.
What do you call the beer? Now? Is it called Hofbräu beer or what? Well, I'll definitely give it a try. Nice and cold, tastes good. I'll ask the lady soon if there are many German guests here. One question, you have a lot to offer now. How many tourists are there here?
There aren't really many. I'm working right now, but you are my first ones.
Ah, that's good. Here you see the Hofbräu. It's called Hofbräu. The beer costs 5.40 euros for half a liter. So not only is the atmosphere German, but the prices are also in the German range. That's already quite expensive for Russia, but, well, it's also a vacation spot where people have money and so on.
Here you can also see there are schnitzels, there are white sausages, there are sausages. Kartoffelsalat. Oder.
All the suckling pigs, so they're well equipped there. Now I'll show you what I just teased, namely the city's marina, where the money is. In Russia you could say, I think there's hardly anywhere with such luxury as here, such a concentration of wealth you can actually see in the form of yachts and boats. But that's exactly what has changed in the last 3 or 4 years. While there used to be super yachts everywhere here, now you only see small private boats docked here.
Why has it changed so much here? You'll find out now. Roll the film.
The Italian financial police are making a public show of seizing the luxury yacht A belonging to Russian billionaire Andrei Melnichenko.
Andrei Melnichenko's yacht is just one example among many. In 2022, many yachts belonging to Russian super rich were not in Russia, but in France, Italy, Spain, or the Caribbean. When the sanctions against Russian oligarchs were imposed, they were seized, frozen, and that's why today dozens of berths are empty, including in Sochi. Not because Russia has become poor, but because part of its wealth is stuck in European ports. Without a captain, don't get me wrong. There's no doubt that there's still a lot of money here. It's quite impressive, but I think those mega yachts are missing. That's what I was told, and I hope I'm passing on the correct information to you now. But yes, it's still impressive here. I'm buying one as a souvenir too. You can buy anything, right? Look guys, you can get these paintings here for €1. Okay, please, for me. What? Young entrepreneur, he's already selling his little pictures for €1. Not bad. Here's also a reconstruction of the statue from Volgograd with the inscription, "Victory is ours." Well, okay, that's more for the 80th now. Anniversary of the end of World War II. So I wouldn't consider that propaganda for the current conflict, but simply a holiday monument. So that was it for now. Day 1. I have to go home because the hotel told me I have to pay for the night until 6 p.m. Otherwise, they'll kick me out, and now I have to get cash in the city. It's almost 6 o'clock now, so I have to go home, but that's okay because we have a few days here in Sochi. I'll share more impressions with you. and to give a perfect conclusion about this region. The second day has begun, and as promised, I want to show you a bit more of Sochi, more of the nature, not just this vacation area, this wealthy area, but also real nature, and go deeper into conversations with the people, how the sanctions have changed life here. So now we're coming to the train station, guys. Average taxi in Sochi. We've arrived at the main train station. Really a great main station, very clean, architecturally very beautiful. And yes, how should I put it, no unpleasant people. Unlike, let's say, in Frankfurt or Berlin. Just imagine, guys, if our main train stations looked like this. That wouldn't be bad, but yeah. Looks nice. What a nice...
Thanks, nodded. Ladies and gentlemen,
I could skip comments about Frankfurt and Berlin, but the real issue is the drug problems at German train stations. And actually, train stations are the calling card of a city. That's really something that needs to be worked on. That's why I always find it hard to hold back.
The comments, we've never had a transistor in England.
That's it for today. See you next time. Bye!
We are now at Krasnaya Polyana, a small village in the mountains, Putin's prestige project. Billions of rubles were invested here to make it as attractive as possible for people from Russia, but especially for international tourists. In 2014, the main events of the Winter Olympics were held here. That means this village had to be top-notch. The alpine skiing disciplines took place here, and bobsleigh was run here. Everything you can imagine, and we're exploring this village to see how it has changed. Did this multi-billion project, this prestige project by Putin pay off, and is it still as beautiful? And yes, we've already arrived here at the main train station, and everything is right in the middle of the mountains. It's already very beautiful.
You still have a lot of international tourists here?
Yes, there are residents, but not many.
Some, yes.
Basically ours.
You were already here in 2014 when the Winter Olympics were held here.
Yes, I live here.
Then there were international tourists here. Yes.
A stupid guy.
We have now arrived, almost in the center of this small place. And yes, here I see something exciting that I haven't seen anywhere else in Sochi yet. Namely, advertising for the conflict, I'll say, with Ukraine, for victory, for the right cause, and so on. So, you see, it's definitely present, even in a vacation resort, for those who might complain in the comments that I call it the whole conflict. Guys, use your heads a little, then you'll understand that sometimes you have to be careful with language and so on. So, those are the first impressions. Small shops, you can go mountain biking here, you have some very interesting architecture. Right in the middle of the mountains. You can really tell from the infrastructure, from the roads, that a lot of money has been invested here. You can see it in the hotels. There's a Marriott hotel here for a reason, as far as I know, and Marriott is a luxury chain. You have gondolas that go up to over 2,000 meters. You have an excellently developed ski resort where you can ski on very good slopes. So, I think if it snows well here, then you actually have a ski area that can compete with Austria and Switzerland. The problem is the weather here rarely cooperates. We're already at 2,000 meters. Too bad. In winter, skiing everywhere here would be great. And use the lift system. Hello? I can still share my view with you. This place is really well developed. You can really notice the investments that have been made here. And even though tourism from abroad has dropped significantly, I believe that it has paid off in the long run. Russia won't always be isolated. In 10, 20, 30 years, this place will still exist. And in the long run, these investments have paid off. In the short term, you notice there are no international tourists in Russia anymore. Russia just doesn't exist anymore. You can just tell by people's reactions how surprised they are, and so on. This is, so to speak, our last stop at 2,500 meters, this beautiful waterfall. But yes, if it were 30 degrees here, you could be in tropical Asia, but it's really cool. Yes, because of the altitude. Probably not unusual, but as you can see, the flora and fauna are really something special for Russia. I think very few people associate that with Russia, to be honest. Yeah, the real eye-catcher here is the nature. My channel isn't meant to be an encyclopedia of the post-Soviet world. I think it's pretty cool to be able to say, no matter which region in Russia, no matter which post-Soviet country, Finn's fairy tale has already shown or featured it. If one day some other generations ask, what is it actually like in that region, in this oblast? And I was there. That's kind of my goal too, and it's a mammoth task, but it's doable. I don't know. As long as you keep watching, I can keep pursuing it. That goal would be really cool if I achieve it one day. Last stop of the day. Now we're really at the highest point there is. I can't tell you the exact number of meters, but it's damn cold. And not only that, you can't see anything at all. That's our view. Guys, isn't that great? This cloud here, but a very beautiful dog, very beautiful sobake. Or is it Belgian or... Are you from Germany? To match Krasnaya Polyana, there's another Olympic park in Sochi, which we also visited. I wanted to quickly add it to the video for a complete overview of Sochi. And the first part of the village, so to speak, the Olympic village. Here is this spaceship, the original one that was used, so it's a real spaceship. Crazy, it looks like Lego. The cool thing about this place is actually above all that it's a university, but what kind of university? Ultra-modern look, extremely advanced. So much is being invested here. Aero engineering, basically space sciences, or how do you say it again? Space and aeronautics are studied here. No kidding. This could be one of the most impressive universities I've ever seen. From the size, these dimensions, the fact that there's an airplane in front of the university, how modern everything looks, it's just amazing, you have to say. Sochi residents were lucky the Winter Olympics were held there and brought major investment. People still benefit from this infrastructure today, with universities like this and an airport just 20 minutes away, so planes are always flying by. There are exhibitions on the topic, it's really well done, I have to say. It really has a United States of America vibe. And guys, this campus... You can?
Yeah.
Got it.
How is it at the airport?
So guys, I'm back at Sochi Station, and I want to give you a summary to answer everything. Warzone or vacation paradise? Guys, you can tell there's a conflict here in Russia with Ukraine because prices have gone up. I noticed that compared to the last time I was here. You don't see any international tourists anymore, but I think there were always relatively few international tourists in Sochi anyway. That's what all the locals say here. It's become less. And yeah, you saw the Z. Every now and then you see some symbols that point to the conflict. Nevertheless, it's a very pleasant, very well-kept vacation spot here, and there's really nothing you can say against it. So I spent 3 wonderful days here on the beach despite not feeling well and having a hoarse voice. And that's why it's somewhere in the middle. You can tell there's a conflict here, but it's still a great vacation spot. Yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time. Bye.